All right, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? Springfield district kind of came out of left field. We were a little surprised by that one, and I actually went and immediately told our supervisor, Pat Harity, about it. And so he came and spoke at the public session that we had last week for that few minutes, and we spoke at length about why and what were the reasons. The main reason was, first of all, none of us had suggested it, but it actually came from the leadership that it was because West Springfield was no longer in Springfield, that it could change names. And it should be changed, and the suggestion given was like for Clifton, perhaps, or maybe another name like that. Centerville's a little too far off, but it was really surprising. I just did not expect it at all, and certainly Supervisor Harity didn't expect it at all. So what we have immediately set up on February 9th at 7 p.m. on Zoom, the topic will be Springfield District renaming. Let me tell you again, that's February 9th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Topic, Springfield District renaming. If you have any questions, please go to Springfield BOS at fairfaxcounty.gov, or just call Pat Harity's office, and they can get you set up. I was actually happy to hear what happened just now with Mason and with Mount Vernon. Certainly, I am inclined to do that same thing with Springfield. But before we go any farther, when I looked at some of the comments that have been made, I just didn't come across any comments that were wanting particularly to rename it. One thing that Pat Harity brought up is he says, well, we still have the high school. We still have the government center. We still have the police. We still have the post office. Those are all still in Springfield. And so, yes, we have lost a section of it, but we haven't lost all of Springfield. And then he also, Supervisor Harity went on to say that basically, if you're going to start having to do that, then we're going to have to look at other districts. For example, Providence District doesn't even have Providence in it, because at one time that used to be the old name for Fairfax City around the courthouse, and that is not a part of their district. Also, you'd have to look suddenly at Braddock District. Certainly the road goes through in Braddock District, Braddock Road, but it also goes through in other districts as well. And so it just came across as something that maybe this is not the time to do that kind of thing. So now I'm going to leave it open to all of you to make some comments, see what you think, and I'll be really curious to hear what your feelings are. So does anybody, okay, we've got.
Hey, sorry, Jen, just I gotta jump in real quick. Janae, are you, so there's a Springfield room that you are not in right now.
Not?
No, it says that you're on a hold, and I was just in there and definitely can't hear you.
Yes,
Nobody's
I'm
heard
sorry.
me?
I was pretty confused here as well. I thought that everyone was in their breakout room, and I was also stuck in a breakout room. Let me. Yeah, everyone is. Yeah, Springfield. Yeah, I mean everyone.
Janae, I think it's better for you to stay here and for us to come to you. So we're sorting it out. We're
Yeah.
also not. I hate to add to your plate, but apparently Brian is not in. He's
Okay.
not in his Lee and Sully room either.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I see
I'll just sit here and wait till you guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just added Representative Gardner to the room, but yeah, I'm looking at on my list and everyone is showing in meeting, so I'm not sure.
Hi, this is Ray. I'm a little confused. I can see Janae, I can see Paul, but I see a little box that says join room, and I've clicked it a couple of times, and then I go into hyperspace. I don't know where everything disappears.
Do you want me to click into join room?
I tried that and everybody disappeared.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where I am, but I can see you, Janae. I can see Nat now, and I was able to see Paul before.
Did you hear me at all when I spoke just now?
I came in kind of halfway when you were describing the
What
Braddock Road going through. Yeah, and the super. Yeah.
So I guess I'll wait.
Which I found interesting because I was not part of the group before, and I'm a little bit fuzzy on the history around, choosing Springfield as a potential candidate for renaming. I'm not quite sure what the history on that was.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I see everybody. I don't see George. See Prashant. Janae's in here. I mean, this feels like the Springfield group to me.
Do you see me, Paul? This is Ray.
Yeah, Ray, I can see you.
Okay.
So did everybody hear what I said, or do I kind of need to say it again?
If you can give a quick recap.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Basically, when it was suggested by Mr. Bell, I think you were the ones that suggested initially, weren't you? I think. Anyway, when it was suggested, I was very surprised. And so after the meeting, I immediately contacted Pat Harity's office, and we met and discussed the strategy. First, I said, do you want the name changed? And he said, no. And what happened was then he immediately came to our group last week, as you recall, it's for some of you who were here, and he discussed the reasons why. He said that Springfield, even though West Springfield is now in Lee District, it still has the police force, it still has the government center, it still has the post office, it still has the high school. Those are all still in Springfield. And didn't feel like you need to do a change from that. And then also, the second piece was, if you do feel like you want to change Springfield to like a name like Clifton or something, he said then that would make you have to look at other sites and other districts. For example, Providence, which was one that I used an example with. Providence used to be the name of Fairfax City around the courthouse. Of course, they don't have that anymore and are out of the city limits. And then also Braddock District would also be another good example of one that would have to change or could be potentially changed, because the road goes through Braddock District, but it also goes through other districts. So that in a nutshell is where we're coming from. And then what I did say is we've already set up to have a town hall meeting, and it will be February 9th. And it'll be from 7 to probably 8:30. It'll be on Zoom. And it's called the Springfield District Renaming. There's flyers. We'll be actually sending flyers out with the group. And basically, the easiest thing to do is go on site there or contact Pat Harity's office. And people can go.
Janae, could you repeat the date and time again?
Yes, it is February 9th, 7 p.m., but it'll be on Zoom. And the topic will be Springfield District Renaming. Okay, sure. All right. Anybody, so people have their hand up. Matt, your hand is up. Go for it.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. I think there's just I was just raising my hand to say I'm in the wrong room. I was just trying to get to the league room, and I don't seem to have the option to do that. So if it's possible to get switched over to the other room, great. If not, I will listen to this conversation with great interest. I apologize.
I'm sorry. I'm working on switching in here now.
Yep.
This is Gail Niddle, and I've been trying to get out of this room. I love the discussion, but I'm from Lee District, and I would really like to be in Lee District.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll switch both of you here.
Thank you for the overview, though. I found it very interesting. I appreciate you.
Ditto for me. Thank you, Janae.
Janae, you're muted.
While we're doing the change, I can just tell you that Springfield, actually, there was a very large spring, and it was where a lot of, a mill was there. There was a whole series of them, and it was a very important place for commerce and for people to come and have things ground, as well as the slats, so you could do the big, huge trees, and you would slat them and those kinds of things. So it was a very important place for commerce, and it was on your way going south into the Occoquan and then on down further than that. But it was a pretty important place, Springfield, in its day. Does anybody want to make a comment?
Yeah, this is Tim. What time period were you just talking about there?
Oh, this was in the 1700s. This was pretty early when they started doing that, and then they continued up to the 1800s doing that kind of thing.
No, with the name Springfield or the name Spring down there, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
My research told me that there was a gentleman that bought a bunch of land, and he finally got a post office, and he called it Springfield because that was the name of his farm that he had going, and that post office is in what is today Annandale. And that gentleman kept buying land, and I'll politely just say he somehow coerced a railroad to be run through his land that he sold to the government so that this land could be used by the railroad, and he cashed in, if you will.
Yeah.
And so now that's going to go right through the post office. So he moved the post office, what would be outside the Beltway, and then eventually got down around where the Fancronia intersects I-95 area. And we're talking in the 1930s. So the name Springfield didn't get down into that particular area until just before between the two wars, World War I and World War II, what my research said. I don't know if that's what yours says, but that's what mine says. So it appears that the name Springfield is sort of a newer name, last, 80 yees, 90 years at the most.
I'll go find that for you. I think.
Well, I got the guy's name, and the guy that, by the way, was a slave owner to boot. He had tons and tons of farms. He kept buying things, and he had 4 farms. He even expanded over into Maryland across the river to do like an import-export kind of business back and forth across the river. He was a precursor to Cornelius Vanderbilt, I guess.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to make super clear that so I think I agree with the Providence and Braddock statements. Like if there are geography issues there, then what I said when we added everything to the list, let's call it the list. I said that the list wasn't closed, that if we needed to add more later, that we would do that. So if there's, if if we feel like we're paying disservice, if it feels like we're picking on Springfield, I don't want that to be the case. I think, maybe we make a Providence, Braddock, Springfield group and call it the geography group. That being said, each one, including, for the moment, just Springfield, needs to be evaluated on the merits. I don't want someone to come back later and say, to use justification for other districts, like, well, we didn't look at this, so how could we go for Springfield? It needs everything. Springfield needs to be justified from from its own angle, absent any comparisons. I think at the town hall we're going to hear sufficient. It kind of seems like there's some steam building there that will really point in a direction.
And I think it's important that they have not received one person that has any interest in changing the name.
Yeah.
I mean, not one person. So.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at the most recent commentary, but I'll trust you there. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of thinking towards the written part in particular. Like, we can have conversations here, but we're going to be capturing kind of just a slice of all of this in the report. And that part, I'm not going to send something out the door to the board that justifies Springfield a recommendation one way or the other based on things for other that use other district logic or somehow, if you get what I'm saying. So
So
right now.
So should we pull it?
Well, we need to. I mean, I think since we do have the opportunity for the February 9th meeting, like, let's. I mean, if there's going to be so much evidence there that we can just kind of use that in the report, I'm happy to. We can outsource the work.
Yeah.
Other members of the public.
It sounds good to me. This is Ray.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the geography criteria does, kind of have its own standalone. Like, it doesn't have the thorniness of the other two work groups.
I think it was worth asking a question, but then when I realized, I went, oh my gosh, but all that stuff still is in Springfield. So.
Yeah. I mean, with the new maps, like, I guess, here's a question. If we were having this discussion 10 years from now or even 20 years from now, would we be thinking, oh, well, the government center and the police station aren't, I mean, they're not, correct me now, they're not in Springfield any longer? Because
they are. Yes, they are.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean,
and the post office, and yeah.
What are the big markers of, I guess, county life? Public institutions that are, that we should use as, well, this is here, this is there, this is not there, something like that.
Yeah.
We need to incorporate, human geography just like physical geography. So, yeah, I'm gonna lean on you, Janae, for that kind of stuff. I'm a Hunter Mill resident, so I'm gonna claim ignorance.
Well, I'm definitely, okay, what we'll do is we'll just wait till the February 9th meeting. If anybody would like to say anything, otherwise we're done as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, this is Ray. I just have a comment. Maybe it's a little bit off topic. It hasn't got anything to do with Springfield in particular, but I was doing a sort of a cursory review of all the emails that have come in that Paul shared with the members. And it struck me that more than one person who's sent an email objected to our getting paid for this work. And one even mentioned the money going to Paul's pocket. I don't know if you caught that, Paul, but I think we need to disabuse the members of the public of the idea that we're being compensated for this activity, because one of the main objections to the entire exercise is that it's a lot of folks appear to feel that it's a waste of resources. We should be devoting the resources to something more productive. But in particular, there's a misconception that we're getting paid for this, and just wanted to share that with you. It's probably something.
You didn't get your paycheck?
I must have missed it. Maybe it went to an old address.
Mine went direct deposit.
So, Ray, thanks for pointing that out. I did not. I guess I just skimmed. I'm gonna blame it. I love this month so far because I get to say, yeah, I have a newborn right now, so my brain is a little, all over the place. I'm gonna blame it on newborn dad brain.
Well, that's a very valid reason.
That really is.
Yeah.
I missed this one. I thought I'd mentioned several times throughout different meetings that we're all volunteer. I actually gave an interview today to ABC7 about what we're doing here, and I mentioned it. So I hope that I mentioned that we're all volunteers and that we have limited time, but we love giving back. So that's why we're here. I hope that makes it into the reporting. But if not, I'll remind. I'll remind folks when we get back together that none of us are getting any. I don't know, if anybody else is getting a paycheck and you're all holding out on me, then that's not cool. But,
So, can we move over to the Sully one now?
Yeah, I don't know if Nat is. No, well, Nat's in here. I'm just going to get us all back together. Well, Nat, can you just close the breakout rooms and we'll all join back together in one big room?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Thanks, everyone.